First, we're going to be joined by Vasuki Ranganath, who's a HR leader, believing in people and loves the challenge of innovating in uncertain and complex environments. Vasuki brings in rich HR experience working in a global context, leading the people agenda, driving transformational and change initiatives. One of his recent success stories has been in championing agile transformation within global HR function and integrating with the digital environment to embrace the new business landscape. Good morning, Vasuki. How are you doing today?
Hey, Chris. Fantastic. Doing good. Just came back from Thailand after a short meeting. So looking forward to our conversation.
Good stuff. Well, hopefully not too jet lagged. And thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Got a really interesting conversation ahead, and really appreciate you being able to sit down with us virtually and kind of just discuss a bit about what you do and your views around HR transformation. I guess a good place to start, and I've already given quite a short introduction for yourself, but perhaps if you could just fill in the audience a little bit more about yourself, your role and your experience.
Absolutely, Chris. Thanks for the short introduction. By the way, I was virtually in Thailand.
Okay, got you.
All right, short one. My name is Vasuki, as you already know now. I work for Volvo Cars based out of Sweden, Gothenburg. I just moved from my one office to another office. I was in the kitchen this morning. Now I'm in my living room. That's how life has been, isn't it? And then, working with Volvo Cars for the last many years, leading HR in a global context, as Chris already indicated, driving a lot of change initiatives. The speed only has increased over the last 18 months, which we all have witnessed. Of course, been in HR in different capacities in Asia, operating in EMEA context and in America's context. So bringing in that perspective into the global, global fold has been my forte. Now things have changed, and now I'm on a journey where I'm heading into leading an HR setup for Asia Pacific. And interestingly, I have started doing that from Sweden. That's something which I also have seen is probably unimaginable if we go back 2 years, right? So that's been the change, and it's interesting times, Chris.
Good stuff. And so given the event is around HR, people, culture and workplace transformation, and you've sat within that global HR role, obviously you're now specifically focused on the APAC region. But what would you say, in your experience, are the most critical elements to HR transformation?
I think fundamentally, the way how we do business is changing, and that drives certainly a lot of imperatives. Earlier we used to talk about digital transformation. You run a program, right? But today it's survival. If you're not digitally enabled in your business enterprise, then I don't think we will survive the next 10 years or not even that. So that sets the tone on how you are looking at organization and the future of your business. Having said that, that also gives a lot of impetus on what we do in HR. To me, fundamentally, we need to rewire how we look at work, workplace, and workforce. I think all of these three elements have gone through a tremendous change. It's also about, working from home was kind of not so, native to all of us, if you look at 2 years ago. But what we have seen through is basically a forced experiment. But that social experiment has worked in large parts of the organizations. So I think that's where I think HR has a huge role to, rewire, reimagine work itself, workplace, and the workforce. On the other side, I think, and this is my personal opinion, HR has to really operate much more horizontal than vertical in nature, which means we need to continuously integrate how we work together with cross-functional teams, how we can really build people digital teams in order to really activate digital experience for people. I think that's fundamentally how things are changing, and if we are not doing that enough, then we are probably too late.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good answer. And with that, you said how the landscape has changed, and obviously the pandemic is, like you say, it's a forced experiment, but it's changed operations, business models, and all our ways of working. And it's come a long way over the last 18 months. What's been the biggest challenge faced by yourself professionally, also your organization, and then HR more generally?
Well, the good thing is, at least in my work context or in my personal context, we were on a journey of transformation even before the pandemic. For example, within Volvo Cars, we started moving from the traditional HR to becoming a people experience function. It's not just about calling ourselves people experience. It is about bringing in that mindset into the organization in the way how we look at things. So what we did during this journey was to move away from traditional, a way of organizing ourselves into center of expertise, shared services, people partners, and so on. So we moved away from that thinking and tried to organize ourselves into much more self-empowered teams where HR works together with digital and find a way how we can really activate those digital experience which I talked about. So that's been one of our biggest steps which we started even before the pandemic. What really helped us to really be resilient and change quickly was we were also on an agile journey, trying to really be quick and fast in changing things when it is really necessary. So that certainly activate fast in what actions do we need to take during the last 18 months. Of course, it did come with a lot of different challenges. HR has not traditionally operated like this. No. Digital and HR are two separate animals, if I can say that. So that's been a tough journey and a painful one, but I think over time I think we have learned through that, and I think we are making good strides in that path.
Nice. And you mentioned there about agile, and you've had great experience in leading and designing future-focused people practices in fast-moving agile and digital environments. How important is it for organizations to either remain agile in these times, or if not, implementing kind of agile methodologies, why should they be, kind of thing?
I think first and foremost, what comes to my mind is the environment around us is changing. What we only don't know is how will it manifest in the coming years. So when you have that kind of a context, I think it's important for us to be, prepared for the upcoming change. And we don't know that. Uncertainty will remain as a certainty. So having said that, what we need to do in organizations, and this is from my own experience, you need operational excellence when you know what needs to be done and when you need to improvise on those practices. Whereas when things are unknown, when variables are not clear, that is where we need to have practices which can open up ideas of experimentation, failing fast, and then bringing back those learnings, testing with the customers directly. I think those kind of mindset is what is needed in a new work context like us today. And agile there can certainly be that engine to really bring that kind of ecosystem within the organization. And I don't say that every company needs to do that. What is important for each organization is to really understand what's your purpose. Why do you need to go agile if you want to go agile? I think that is the first fundamental question which requires good answers. And then of course you've got to really see what frames do you need to have to really make this effective. And sometimes we also tend to become theoretical. But I think that's where we need to challenge that status quo and really see, is this how we want to work? End of the day, it should really add business value. So those are some of the things which I at least have experience working with large teams in an agile and non-agile environment.
Sure, and just on that, with Agile, a lot of conversations I've had in the past, and even before the pandemic hit, was, you know, a lot of organisations experienced a bit of friction or resistance to trying to kind of bring the Agile mindset within an organisation. How difficult sometimes can it be to kind of instill that mindset and get people on board, and, you know, let them know that it's, as a leader, that it's, like, you know, the right direction to be taking.
Well, Chris, my experience has been, very similar to what you just mentioned. It's not an easy journey, and when we started in Volvo Cars, I think it's to me, I was part of many of these conversations where teams are in frictions. Even
Yeah,
our digital teams were not, close to agile. So
yeah.
we have this waterfall methodology which we follow, and that's been the tradition in some of the HR technology space too. So uh, over the over the journey, we realize that we are not making sense, or we are not really being effective. We are still having orientation which will not help us to be effective even in an agile setup. And then one day I had a reflection, and that was a reflection where I could really start seeing, peacocks and penguins. Now it's a story which I tell to my teams. Both these creatures are, having their strengths. They operate in a kind of different, conditions, right? One in a very cold climate, other one in a warm climate. What we are trying to do with agile is to bring these two creatures together, digital cross functional expertise together with HR, which means in order to really be successful, both these creatures need to understand each other. What will be success? How can we live together? How can we create value together? So I think
Mhm.
that was one of our experiences where we really reflected together as team. And I think thereafter, I must say that the awareness, the self-consciousness to really looking at it from the other perspective over time did go through a change. And I think it's a journey on. I don't think you can get. There's no quick fix to this. We need to learn how to operate and how do we make sense for each other.
Sure. I think Carolyn Moore, who presented first, the Global Director of Organizational Cultural Transformation from Arcadis, made the point that sometimes the ones that resist the biggest change become the biggest advocates for change in the end, because
Absolutely.
you spend time focusing on those individuals, trying to, not so much convince them but get them on board, and then they become the, the advocates for change, and the advocates for, whatever that might be, whether it's agile or whether it's, a different kind of culture change within the organization.
Absolutely. I think in my experience, those are the people whom we should really go first. It is
Yes.
not to avoid them. The more we avoid, I think we will be far away in our, we will have more bumpy journey. I think
Hmm.
it's also about leadership, right? It's
Yeah.
about bringing that purpose into the conversation, helping people understand, even within our teams, you can self-empower, but have you really created or articulated what's the game? What do we want to achieve? If we don't do that, then I think we will certainly have a lot more hinders during the journey. I think that's where we need to understand the big picture. Where do we want to go? And
Yeah.
then allow teams to really take charge of that, and they need to empower. They need to be empowered, and allow them to make mistakes. I think that's something which is equally important. There's no full success defined. It requires certain nature of mistakes, and doing that mistakes quicker is faster, is better than running a project for 1 year and then you don't know what you get out of it.
Hmm. No, really good point. And then with that as well, people and culture, arguably the biggest driver of any enterprise level change. I think a lot of us can agree on that, and certainly that's the sentiment of these conferences, even that aren't focused on people and culture and more technology based. It always comes back to people, to culture, in any kind of enterprise transformation or digital transformation. And with that comes creating a culture of innovation from within. How difficult is it as a HR leader to be instilling these cultures of innovation when there are now so many barriers to doing such? So, in a sense, how has kind of the pandemic maybe changed the ways in which we can create an organizational culture and instill those innovative values? And we're missing things like water cooler moments. and we're a lot of the time relying on things like asynchronous communications. And does this provide a barrier to innovation, or do these new ways of working kind of enhance innovation in some ways?
I think the fundamental thing here again, Chris, is to going back to, what's your leadership? What is your advocacy as an organization? Do you want to lead an organization with a high command and control and culture, or do you want to really empower and allow people to take ownership? Are you risk averse or are you risk takers? Do we really allow people to make mistakes, or do we put them in cold storage? I think these are the kind of questions which requires leadership to really formulate with some clear answers. I think that sets the tone on what kind of conditions you're creating in terms of allowing people to really innovate. I think that's the basic thing which we need to think about. On the other side, I would say working remotely does come with different challenges, right? I think it's a given, but I think it's important to really understand where do we need to be, which environment requires being in office. What kind of I think that's where we need to find our own path. And at least in my experience, I think working from home, even though you are virtual, has different advantages. It certainly brings in a different kind of dimension in terms of inclusiveness. You're much more inclusive than sometimes, when two sets of audience are sitting in two different platforms. So from that perspective, I think there's a lot more which we can learn and experiment. And I don't think there is a straightforward answer. Yes, innovation can take a toll if you're not able to have that human touch. But there are other ways how we can mitigate that, and we need to find those alternatives as we learn through these times.
Yeah, definitely. And just quickly on that as well, we pre-pandemic, we were creating culture within a workplace environment, in an office-based environment, and that's the fundamental of how cultures were built within business. Over the last 18 months, the vast majority of people have been working from home. Remote work has been the way forward, and we've had to develop cultures in a remote sense. But now we're moving into a third phase, which is a blend of the two, which is, hybrid working. So we're going to have to, establish cultures within that, with people in an office, not in an office, coming together, and using all the digital tools and technologies to combine everything. How difficult do you think that journey to kind of hybrid working could be for organizational and cultural transformation?
I think here again, it's not that we are going back. I think if we are in that kind of mindset, I think then it's a myth. I think we're only moving forward with a completely new landscape. Yes, there has to be a much more higher level of flexibility within the work environment, whichever organization you are. Of course, the business certainly. The business context really determines what is needed in the organization. Yes, there will be, for example, if you're working in a manufacturing-oriented company where you have the labs and fabs, then you obviously need to make sure that your people who are supposed to be in those environments are physically there. But there are also people who can operate from home. So I think we need to think about how do we create that clarity over time. I think we need to allow that experimentation to continue. I don't think we can sit here and say 2023 we will all be in office in this new building. That kind of mindset doesn't work. But what is equally challenging in this kind of situation is, what does this bring to the leadership and managers? The way how we lead, the way how we act and behave needs to change. The way how we collaborate, the way how we really build trust has to go through a significant learning curve. I think that is where I would say organizations need to invest more time so that we see success in this new context.
Sure, that's a really good answer. And moving on to kind of the tools and technologies we have as part of the digital workplace, how much do you think these tools and technologies will have a part to play when looking at HR transformation in the future, and as we kind of move along over the next 18 months or so, as we look to hopefully recover from the pandemic in a business sense?
I think digital is here to stay. I think it's only going to increase. I just can remember an example, how do we look at leadership development? Let's say if I need to practice something today, if I need to know how to give, critical feedback, I'm not going to a classroom to learn about that. I probably get a nudge from an app on an evening. Or if I need to do self-reflection, probably on my Friday evening, I get a nudge on an app saying that it's time for your self-reflection. That is the kind of change which we are seeing in, and I think we just need to make sure that we have a good balance of that. And I think digital is certainly a key, force to reckon.
Mm-hmm. No, good answer. And then when strategizing and formulating any change or development within HR, how do you kind of go about evaluating the approach and the ideas to implement, and typically who is involved with high level or organizational wide transformation when it comes down to HR?
I think it's, each organizations do have a set of purpose of what they want to achieve as their future ambitions. But I think the way how we do it is where we need to really think and reflect. In my experience, the experience of cascading a certain ambition down the line from the CEO to last employee in any market is old ways of thinking. Today, it's important that we are able to reimagine that, challenge that way of thinking towards, how can we make it viral? How can we learn to experiment an idea? And that is where I think we need to look at early adopters. You have leaders in the organization who are ready to take on such, initiatives, engage with them in an early stage. Bringing in the design thinking to any new transformation, I think, is an important, I would say, ingredient. I think it's also about putting people in the forefront. Do we have them in the center of your transformation? Do we look at it from different stakeholders within, whether it is executives, whether your potential employees, your managers, and so on and so forth? Requires a new way of looking at things. And I think it's also about making it more cross-functional. I think that's where the big shift is. We got to make it more viral than making it a cascading approach. I think that's been an experiment which at least I have practiced over time, and I think I have seen tremendous success, because then you have champions supporting your initiative rather than waiting for somebody to listen to you. I think that's where we need to work more collaboratively with the leadership, with the cross functions to really drive the change.
No, that's really, really good answer. And then just going back to what we were discussing earlier around remote working culture, has kind of remote work impacted culture at Volvo, and has it kind of changed things, organizationally in a sense with yourselves?
Well, I think personally, the biggest change which I have seen is now I have taken on a new role for Asia Pacific, and doing that from Sweden. That's the biggest, of course, it comes with different challenges, right? Time zone is a challenge. You got to really look at which country you're talking to, be sensitive to their time issues. Having said that, it's not difficult as long as you are able to understand and really connect with the people around. We are on a journey. There are parts of the functions, pool of employees who are supposed to be in the factories. That's a given. You don't have a choice. But on the other side, we also need to think, how do we really increase our collaboration being virtual in different parts of the world? I think that's a learning which I think we all have seen over the last 18 months. And I think it's just that we will continue. Yes, some parts of the organization could come back to physical workplace, but I think it's also going to be different than what it has been in the past.
Yeah, of course. No, good. And then finally, going again onto the subject of future of work and hybrid work, new ways of working, of all of the above of which we've kind of discussed. But what for you is going to define the future of work as we map out a recovery from this pandemic?
I think the first and foremost here is it's not the same. Work is changing. The workplace is changing, and the workforce which we need to attract and recruit is changing. To me, it's a great opportunity where we are, because this, from an HR perspective, gives more avenues to really attract and recruit talent with a much more diverse pool. Right? You don't need to look at within a country. You can go much beyond borders. On the other side, it certainly brings in different challenges in terms of how do you retain talent? How do you really be more inclusive? I think those are areas which requires a lot more work, and a lot more effort has to go in from leadership to really understand this first, be sensitive to this, and really take actions.
Good stuff. Well, Vasuki, that is all we have time for today, and really appreciate you joining and sharing your little nuggets of wisdom. Really appreciate it. Some great answers there, and I'm sure we could talk for a lot longer around the ins and outs of some of those answers and subject areas. But really appreciate you taking the time out to join and share those insights.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you so much.
That's okay, and all the best with your transition into the new role. And like you say, it's going to be really interesting with leaders taking on more of an international role without being there, kind of thing. It's going to be the way we move forward with work.
Indeed, and I think that's where we probably unleash more talent outside your normal headquarters, right?
Yeah, definitely. Good stuff. Well, thanks so much for joining, Vasuki. Have a great day. Really appreciate it, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you. Good day.